Highway safety officials are looking into complaints of Ford Escapes, with some customers reporting that their doors can open on their own while the SUVs are in motion.
U.S. auto safety regulators say there have been 118 complaints, along with 25 reports of minor injuries resulting from this malfunction.
Joining us now is Patrick Olsen, editor-in-chief of CARFAX, to dive into this issue. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for being here tonight. For those who have a Ford Escape, what do they need to know?
Well, so first of all, they need to know that this is not yet a recall. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is doing an investigation into whether there should be a recall for this. So for the moment, there's not a lot they can do. Historically, when NHTSA gets into these, they can wind up being a recall. And at that point, that's when consumers really can take more action.
So until that happens then, Patrick, what should consumers do?
Well, in the complaints that have been issued, there have been concerns about sounds of grinding, doors not closing accurately. So if you're having a problem with your Ford Escape, I would go to the dealership and ask them to take a look at it and see if there is a repair that they can work on it.
How serious does this potentially need to get before there is a recall here?
Well, generally, the NHTSA will take a look at the number of complaints, the number of potential injuries, and decide whether or not to do a recall. Recalls for doors opening are pretty common. Just last month, Land Rover recalled a bunch of SUVs for this problem. In 2020, Ford recalled 2 million vehicles for doors that wouldn't stay closed. So it's not an unusual problem for cars.
It is an odd one to hear, though, and talk about. I've never heard of the doors just opening on their own. I didn't realize it was so common.
Yeah, sadly, it's more common than you think, and for a driver, it is an incredibly terrifying moment when a door opens unexpectedly.
Auto production, of course, through the pandemic was not easy, and there's been a shortage of vehicles. Are we seeing at all a trend here where cars are not made as properly, perhaps, as they were before the pandemic, and are we seeing more issues because of it?
I don't know if you can blame it on the pandemic, but I will say that cars are becoming more complex. And frankly, a lot of cars are just staying longer. The average age of a car on the road today is 12 and a half years. And that means that some of the things that automakers thought would be phased out over 6 to 10 years are sticking around a lot longer than that.
An interesting thing concerning this one is the issue is affecting mainly the 2020 and 21 models. Do you think that working throughout the pandemic may have had anything to do with why these types of things are happening?
It's really hard to determine without knowing exactly what was going on in that factory.
So the issue affects those 20 and 2021 models, and you wonder about that pandemic. But when you look at the overall picture, do you believe that there is a overall safety concern? People with this vehicle should be worried, or do you think it's just case by case?
I think any time that NHTSA is conducting an investigation, owners should be cautious and take measures to make sure that they're protecting themselves. Make sure the door is securely fastened. Make sure that you don't have any doubts about it at all.
Well, Patrick Olsen, editor-in-chief of CARFAX, thank you so much for the insight tonight. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Jeff.